I'm Rob.
And I'm Nate.
And welcome back to Rob and Nate Record a Podcast. Tonight we are kicking off Natalie Portman month. Mm-hmm. We figured it was time that we featured a female actress, and figured that Natalie...
Well, we did Meg Ryan.
Oh, you're right.
I can't remember if we were recording yet.
I can't remember either.
I don't think we were.
I think it was
last
before
summer.
We started recording. Mm-hmm. But we figured it was time to feature a female actress on the blog, or on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. A female actress as opposed to the male actress.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. But we've primarily focused on male actors and other themes and things like that. So we thought it was a good idea to focus on a female and a female lead in some movies and things like that. And Natalie Portman seemed like a reasonable resume and things like that. And
we have a diverse selection of types of films.
Yeah. And Natalie Portman is one of my celebrity crushes.
Indeed.
I'll go ahead and put that in the podcast. So we thought that'd be a fun month. And so we started off tonight.
Her film debut.
We decided to go in the way back machine to 1994, as Nate mentioned, Natalie Portman's film debut, the movie Leon the Professional.
Indeed.
So, Nate, you mentioned this is your first time seeing it in full, right?
True.
This is also my first time seeing it in full. I think like you mentioned, I think I'd seen a few clips of it, but what were you aware of going into this film?
Well, I was aware of the cast. I was aware that a very young Natalie Portman was in it. I was aware that Jean Reno was in it. Kind of aware of that there was a lot of shooting and murdering in it. And I'd seen bits and pieces. I caught the very, very end of this movie probably in the early 2000s. My mom and my dad were watching it, and I saw probably the last 4 minutes of it.
Okay.
So I had very little context to it, other than, Natalie Portman walking around with a plant.
Yeah.
Which I really think would be an inventive Halloween costume for a little girl. Similar
I wonder how many
outfit,
people would get it.
The plant, a velveteen rabbit.
It's probably a good thing that you and I don't have children, because one of us would do this.
would make them do all sorts of esoteric Halloween costumes. They'd be like, what the heck is this? It's like, it's funny, trust me.
Look up Natalie Portman and Leon the Professional. Anyways, so what are your first impressions of this film, Nate?
So, going into it, I thought that this would probably be good. I tended to recall that it had a good reputation, and it's an English language film, but it was produced by the French. Mm-hmm. Had a French lead and an Israeli female lead. I don't know. It didn't really work for me. What's funny is when we were getting ready to watch this, I had it.
Yeah.
I had it on DVD that I had gotten in one of those little cardboard, dirt cheap, like $2.99 DVD packs at like a 7-Eleven like years ago.
Yeah.
And I'd heard it was a good film, so I was just on a pile of things that I hadn't gotten around to. I've now given you the DVD because I don't think I'm going to be revisiting this movie. But what about you?
Well, now let's clarify. Are you not going to be revisiting it because it didn't resonate super well with you, generally because you don't tend to revisit very many movies, or because you really disliked this movie?
We'll get into that more about my feelings of the movie.
I thought the movie was okay. It's a French-made movie. There are moments... Yeah, I was going to say there are moments wherein it's very French, and there's moments where it's trying to blend the French and the American influences.
It's a typical 80s. It has kind of an 80s action. Yeah, some 90s there, but it wants to be an American action film through a French filter.
Yeah. Well, but the director is a well-respected director. You know of Luc Besson, right?
I know the name.
Fifth Element.
I didn't like that either.
Oh, really?
I can see it now that you mentioned that.
He also wrote Lucy and La Femme Nikita. Taken.
No, I haven't seen any of those.
Yeah. Or I guess he was an executive producer on the Taken TV series.
There's a Taken TV series.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Like TNT, right?
No. It was mainstream.
It was on one of the networks?
Yes.
Really?
I think it was on NBC, but I'm not positive. Actually, let's look at what he's directed. He started in 1981 with a film called L'Avant Dernier. Again, these are films he's directed.
Frenchman.
He did another film in 83, 84, a movie called Subway in 85. The Big Blue is another one of his that's respected, I guess, from 1988. And then 1990 he does La Femme Nikita.
Which also inspired a TV series.
Yeah, and then 1991 he did an Atlantis movie, and then 94 he does Leon the Professional. Like I said, a few years later he does The Fifth Element, which is also a relatively popular movie. In 99 he does a Joan of Arc movie.
There was like 2 Joan of Arc movies that came out in 99. There's the Lily Sobieski one, and then there was another one.
Yeah, this one's called The Messenger.
I think that's the Lila Sobieski.
Mila Jovovich.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Mila Jovovich.
With John Malkovich.
Yeah. So there's some more Fifth Element casting.
Yeah, and then he did it looks like a Madonna documentary in 2004. Another one in 2009. There's some other things he's
Madonna
done that I'm
in this
skipping
movie,
over.
Too.
Yeah. The film The Family in 2013. Did you see that?
Remind me.
Robert De Niro, Michelle Pfeiffer, Diana Argon, John Diello.
I don't know.
The plot is the Manzoni family, a notorious mafia clan, is relocated to Normandy, France under the Witness Protection Program, where fitting in soon becomes challenging as their old habits die hard. It was an okay film. I don't know that I'd say it was better or worse than this film. He did, in 2017, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
I saw that.
Did you like that?
No.
So it sounds like you're not
like
a big fan of this director.
No.
But anyways, yeah, he's a respected director.
He's got
in certain circles.
Well, he's obviously got a distinct style and a distinct sensibility to his work, which is heavier in the science fiction films than in this, but you can see bits and hints of it.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought the film was okay. It's not great. There are some kind of interesting tidbits about this film. That part where Gary Oldman yells, "Everyone." Apparently, they had done that take several times, and he never yelled it. And he was kind of getting annoyed with the director, so he gives the sound man a cue to take off his headphones, and then he yells, "Everyone," and apparently Luc Besson liked it and kept it in the film. So, this film, all of the exterior shots were filmed in New York City, and then everything else was filmed in Paris. Kind of an interesting...
Kind of idiocentric.
Yeah, and it seems as though it primarily had a French release.
It was French financed.
Yeah, so in fact, when I was looking at the numbers for this film, its budget is provided in French francs. So it had an estimated budget of 115 million francs.
I think I saw that was something around $16 million.
I didn't look up the conversion on it. Its opening weekend domestic here in the United States, again, this is 1994, so not the types of numbers we would come to expect today. Its opening weekend gross domestically here in the States was 5.3 million. It brought in domestically 19.5 million. It says worldwide gross 19.5, but that's the same total they're giving for the domestic gross, so that must be off.
Well, Wikipedia says that their budget was 16 million American dollars with a box office of 46.1 million, which is pretty respectable off of that budget and for a mid-90s release.
Would have made money, so yeah. What did you think of Natalie Portman's performance? Because this actually wins quite a few awards, and we'll talk about that. But what did you think of Natalie Portman's performance?
She's good
that's
in
our
it.
Focus.
She's good in it, definitely. And she has a few moments that kind of foreshadow the one. And we should talk very briefly about what the film's actually about.
Yeah.
Which is Jean Reno plays Leon, who's a man of few words and various idiosyncrasies, including a love of milk.
Yes.
From the carton, and a love of
Which
Gene
was
Kelly
established
films.
very early.
So that's one of the things that turned me off a little bit. It was almost too self-aware and too focused on we're going to give him corks.
Too formulaic.
We're going to give him corks. He's
Yeah.
not your average hitman. And of course, he's going to get kind of forced into proximity to this little girl. So yeah, he lives in an apartment building. He's kind of friendly with the neighbor girl, a roughly 12, 13-year-old Natalie Portman. They have a little repartee. She talks to him when he's going in and out of his apartment. And her father is involved in a drug deal gone wrong with what turned out to be crooked cops. And so when she is away to get milk for her neighbor, which she offers to do, the crooked cops come in and massacre her family. And then she takes refuge with Leon and plots to get her revenge, not because she loved her sister or her father or her stepmother, who's possibly her stepsister owing to a half-sister, according to part of the dialogue. Was there an incest thing going on there? It's a weird or a poorly translated line of dialogue, but it struck me anyway.
Yeah.
She didn't so much care about them as she cared about her younger brother,
her 4-year-old brother,
who was killed
yeah.
by these guys. And so it's about the relationship between Leon, the professional, and young Matilda.
A very strange, unusual relationship.
Unusual, sometimes uncomfortable.
At times it's amusing, and at times it's extremely uncomfortable.
Because Natalie Portman, again, she's probably around 13 when she made this. She's playing 12.
They were intentionally trying to avoid some of the... They didn't want to sexualize that relationship between them.
Well, I think it kind of was. I mean, it could have been more than it was, but...
yeah, in fact, actually, there's a tidbit here on IMDb.
Just some of the get-up
Jean Reno, he decided to play Leon as if he were a little mentally slow and emotionally repressed. He felt that this would make audiences relax and realize that he wasn't someone who would take advantage of a vulnerable young girl. Reno claims that for Leon, the possibility of a physical relationship with Matilda is not even conceivable, and as such, during the scenes when such a relationship is discussed, Reno very much allowed Portman to be emotionally in control of the scenes. So,
but anyway, getting back to Miss Portman's performance, there's the scene where she comes back.
Yeah,
we started that at the door, and Leon's debating whether or not he's going to risk letting her in, and she's just, her face, just open the door, because she's pretending. She just walks by her apartment. She sees that there's been a massacre. She sees some of the goons. It's just like, my only hope is that the neighbor lets me in and they think I'm his kid.
Yeah.
Which works.
Yeah. Apparently she had to learn how to cry on screen for, on cue for this. And she was having trouble crying on cue for that take. So they had some of the cast spray, like some sort of mint oil, into her eyes. And she said it hurt so bad that the rest of the film she had no problem crying on cue. Because she didn't want to repeat it.
Should I do an aside about my favorite make the kid cry on cue story?
Sure.
There's a film in the early 1931. It's called Skippy. It's about a boy and his dog. I forget the name of the kid. The kid went on to, I think, win an Oscar for this, as did the director, Norman Turing, who at the time he won that Oscar, he was the youngest man ever to win a Best Directing Oscar and kept that title until, what's his name, who won for La La Land, was the one guy younger than him. So they're making this scene. There's a scene where the boy needs to cry. And so the director, who's also the boy's, like, uncle, tells him that if you don't cry on cue, we're going to kill the dog.
Oh, no. That's terrible.
The tears came out, and Turing won an Oscar. So,
jeez. So I thought Natalie Portman's performance was really good in this film. The only part that was odd, and I don't understand at all, is that first hotel they go to after they leave the apartment. When she comes downstairs and tells the guy at the front desk that Leon's her lover.
Well, it's because she's this 13-year-old girl that's developed a crush on this guy and doesn't know where the boundaries
was just kind of awkward.
Yeah. But, it was, but I get what they're going for. She doesn't know what she's saying. She's heard these phrases, and she's old before her time, but she's still naive.
Yeah. How would you think this film was received?
I think it was received okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you think it fares on IMDb?
6 something? 5 something?
Are you prepared to be shocked?
What?
It has an 8.5 aggregate score. And from one of the things I was glancing at, it may be in one of our IMDb top 250 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder if we've already talked about it and totally forgot about it.
Actually, according to one of the lists I was looking at, it's ranked number 31.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
That's
thought we were already well past 8.5. But this film actually wins a number of foreign awards. Natalie Portman wins a Felix, which I don't know where that's from. She wins a Felix for Best Actress. It wins other Felix awards. It wins the Awards Circuit Community Awards, Best Actress in the Leading Role, again for Natalie Portman. I mean, it wins a lot of foreign awards along those lines. Obviously not huge numbers here in the U.S., but seems to be well received. And like I said, IMDb aggregate score is 8.5 stars, which is higher than I would rate this or than I expected this to be rated. But evidently pretty well received film in some circles. Yeah, and that 8.5 score is with over 995,000 reviews.
Yeah. I think if I had seen this film, if I were my age now, if I had seen this film in 1994, I think I would have liked it more, because I think this would have definitely been fresher. But I couldn't help but think of it as being very cliche. And I'm sitting here as we're watching it, telling you what's going to happen next. I was right probably about 60% of the time, probably about 2/3 of the time. I'm like, I bet this happens next.
John Reno's character was cliche, and Gary Oldman's character was also fairly
What
cliche.
did you think of Gary Oldman in this?
You know, it's hard to fault Gary Oldman, but that little bit with him cranking his head and his neck and as he takes those pills before he kills people,
they wanted to make him this kind of creepy, eccentric. You know, this film is full of eccentrics. Every character in this is eccentric
without you having to do anything
but
extra.
It kept making me think, and you have not seen this film, of Frank in Blue Velvet. He's one of the most memorable creepy villains who's got a thing where he's inhales some kind of gas, and it's never really explained what it is, but he inhales it and it goes all creepy. And so it felt like they were trying to copy that.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Yeah.
Too many things of this were cliche and felt like they were copies.
Yeah. What did you think of Danny Aiello as Tony?
You know, he always plays that guy.
Yeah.
He's the greasy Italian guy, and he's in at least one other film he's run an Italian restaurant.
Yeah. Part of me wanted to see at the end of the film, see Natalie Portman come back and knock him off. But I don't know.
He wasn't really a bad guy. I mean, you get the sense that he was cheating. He was cheating Leon out of his money.
He was cheating Leon, and then, Leon says, "Leave my money to Matilda," and he cheats Matilda.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's probably better in the long run that he cheats her, but yeah. What did you think of the ending of the film?
You know, I like the ending. Talking about this film generally, I think this one I'm going to probably have to process a while. I think when we get to ratings, I think my rating might change after I've sat on it for a while. But this is a film I kind of half liked.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that I thought was cliche and kind of but there was a few moments. There were some scenes where the performances were really strong, where the set pieces were really strong, and there's a few moments, not all of them, but some of the moments between Leon and Matilda I thought really worked, and I thought the ending really worked.
Yeah. There's not a lot to exceptionally love this film for. I don't think you could hate this film either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of ratings, how would you rate this film?
Oh, that's
your knee-jerk reaction.
That's
again,
a tough one.
We're always rating these minutes after we've seen it. I mean, we're 20 minutes into this episode. We ended the episode maybe a maximum of 30 minutes ago. Or ended the movie a maximum of 30 minutes ago. But I'm
probably 2.5 to 3 stars.
On the 4-star scale?
On the 4-star scale.
What would you do on the 10-star scale?
5 or 6.
I'm a little bit... I'm in the same boat as you on the 4-star scale. I would give this about 2.5 stars. On the 10-star scale, I think I would give this it's definitely not an 8.5 star movie. I think I'd give it a 6 or a 7 on the 10-star scale. So
indeed. Yeah, I didn't love it. I expected to like it more than I liked it. But it was just a little too cutesy, a little too full of itself to entirely work.
So we're at week 1 of Natalie Portman month. How do you think this is going to fall into Natalie Portman month?
Well, I mean,
like into the rank of the movies
right now, and I forget everything that we had on
this Closer, Annihilation, and then Jackie.
I'm thinking this will be the worst or second to last on the list.
Yeah. I'm not familiar enough with the other 4 titles to be able to guess on that, but I'm suspecting it'll be towards the bottom of the 4. But it is Natalie Portman's first role. It's very much what put her on the map. It's
worth seeing, I suppose.
Yeah.
For its place in her career, and that it is, it's a name that comes up, and so there's an element of film literacy to doing it. But I couldn't recommend it.
Yeah. I wouldn't not recommend it. But it would not have an overly strong recommendation.
You wouldn't not recommend it means you'd recommend it?
Softly.
A soft recommendation.
I would give this a soft recommendation.
Yeah, this one is kind of, it's pretty close to that border.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if someone was interested in seeing this film, I wouldn't tell them, don't waste your time or anything like that. I'd say go watch it, but, kind of know what you're getting into in it. And
it never really came together.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that is cultural difference, the French versus the American perspective on that. It'd be interesting to see I guess maybe I'll have to look it up later. It'd be interesting to look at a French movie critic review of this.
Yeah. But and watching it, one of the things that came into my mind very briefly is I'm looking at Gene Reno doing this scene, and all of a sudden he was Sylvester Stallone. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
You made some comments as we were watching.
I also cast its remake.
Yes, I was going to say you cast its remake while we were watching it.
So the remake is going to star Sam Rockwell in the Gary Oldman role because they look scarily the same at moments in this film. I would do Millie Bobby Brown of Stranger Things as the Natalie Portman part. And then I'm going to go a little bit out of the box. And I'm going to cast Simon Pegg as Leon. Because I think he could bring both the intensity and he could bring kind of some quirky humor to it.
I'm not sure that Simon Pegg could pull off a hitman role, period.
I think he could.
You think so?
I think he could.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the one where they're police officers, him and his fat buddy?
Run, Fat Boy, Run? Or
No. It's it's the one from the Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
He plays intense in that one, and so he could do intense.
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz, yes.
Yeah. You know, I like Simon Pegg in films like Star Trek, and I like him in other movies, Mission Impossible. I like his performances in those. I don't like Shaun of the Dead, and I don't like Hot Fuzz.
I've only seen Hot Fuzz once, and that was 10 plus years ago, but I'm quite a fan of Shaun of the Dead, but it's been a long time since I've seen that, too.
See, that's the style of zombie film that, to me, it has zero appeal. I like I Am Legend. I like World War Z. Shaun of the Dead,
I don't care for... Both of those I didn't care for so much.
You don't like World War Z? I thought you enjoyed that.
No, I like the book World War Z.
Yeah. Well, the book was exponentially different than the movie. Like, that was exponentially different, but yeah. What about... You liked Omega Man, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same movie.
It's the same movie, but, you know, I didn't love it.
Yeah.
It's not really great.
Yeah.
It's more... I like the extreme 70ness of it.
Yeah. Well, that took an interesting twist at the
end.
We're
We're talking
Natalie
about
Portman
talking about zombie movies now, and we have a little aside we'll have to do at the end. Should we do that as as bonus feature? Should we do our farewell and then go back to talking about the whatnots?
Yeah. So wrapping up, start of Natalie Portman week, Leon the Professional. You've heard our ratings. If you're interested in that movie, check it out.
Or don't.
But you know, it's not. I don't think you could call it a waste of your time. So, anyways, I'm Rob.
I'm Nate.
And this has been Rob and Nate Record a Podcast.
And such.
I've been doing levels.
You've been doing levels this whole time?
Yeah. Well, not the whole time, but I had to get stuff closed out and then get it all set up for the new one.
I got a little mental exercise for you.
Okay.
In your mind, picture a cop car. Picture a cop car in your mind.
Okay.
What decade is the car from?
Right now, it's the one upside down on fire.
Oh. I was going to say, for me, it's an 80s cop car.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, other than that's
Chevy
what cop
Caprice.
Cars looked like when I was a kid. And so that is the generic clip art version of a cop car.
Yeah.
Forever in my head.
Nice. I was looking for...
Oh, and I finally did find a Huckleberry soda.
Oh, did you? Was it good?
You know what? I don't really like it. The blueberry soda was better.
Oh, yeah?
And what I found about the Huckleberry soda, and I'm sure I've had Huckleberries before, but I don't really remember. It's very bland. It was very bland.
Yeah.
Which kind of adds an extra layer to the gag for the name of Huckleberry Hound, because he was very bland.
Yeah.
Even though he looked more like a blueberry hound.
Yeah. So I was wrong. This movie did get a domestic release, but we'll discuss it when we get into it. You ready for this?
Yeah.